Hi, this is Kirk, the bariatric carnivore. You have problems trying to get to sleep? Have you tried magnesium? Magnesium is a nice little mineral that about the majority of Americans are deficient in. And because of that, they have a tough time getting to sleep. When you're deficient in magnesium, and by the way, let me take a second here to describe the difference between a deficiency and an optimization. When you have a deficiency of a certain vitamin, you know because of certain symptoms. So the symptoms of a magnesium deficiency are going to be an irregular heartbeat, cramping, muscle twitches, stuff like that. That's when your electrolytes are seriously out of balance and you got a problem. That's a deficiency where it's symptomatic. Most of us, though, are probably suboptimal. And when I say suboptimal, I mean that there's a level that we probably could do at our best at. But then there's another level of toxicity. If you have too much of magnesium into your system, you're going to notice it pretty darn quickly because you're going to be pooping like crazy. When the one time that I had a colonoscopy, they give you a bottle of magnesium citrate, which helps you poop all night long. And that's what happens when you have too much magnesium into your system. So it's kind of a self-regulating thing. You'll know when you have too much magnesium because your stools will just get really loose. Very few people are ever going to get to that point. But a lot of people have suboptimal levels, and the problem with that is magnesium actually is engaged with a lot of things. It works with calcium to create stronger bones. So people that have, with osteoporosis, they may be tempted to take a lot of calcium, but really most of your bone is protein. And the mixture of calcium with the magnesium is crucial, along with vitamin D. And vitamin D does not work in your body unless there's adequate levels of magnesium. So supplementing your magnesium level may not be a bad thing. It's fairly cheap insurance. And if you're trying to say, well, wait a second, I get enough magnesium from the vegetables that I eat because you're not carnivore yet, keep in mind, thanks to industrial farming, a lot of our soils are mineral deficient. They have been depleted long ago of any significant minerals. Most commercial agriculture is really factory farming with lots of petrochemicals dumped into it. They're not putting in additional minerals in that, so you're probably not getting what they tested for. Look, most of the nutritional levels that we think of, for how much magnesium is in spinach and all kale and all these other vegetables were done years and years ago, like in the 1960s. Soil is very different now. We've had now over 80 years of depleted soils with over farming. They don't have a lot of minerals in them. So don't think you're getting it from that. You may be thinking, well, what did our ancestors do for it? Well, our ancestors were drinking water from natural sources like streams and wells. There's a lot of magnesium deeper into the subsurface of the soils. A lot of that stuff gets filtered out in our modern system. They're dumping in chlorine and they're dumping in fluoride, but they're not dumping in magnesium. So there's going to be shortages of it in our own well system, and the way that most of our modern sources of water that we get. So where are you going to get your magnesium from? Well, if you're a carnivore, odds are you're probably getting more than enough from your meat, at least an adequate level of magnesium. But I live here in Oklahoma, and I know that the soil here is not really rich in magnesium, which means 90% of my calories are coming from the cow that I purchased that's from Oklahoma, and the person I purchased my eggs from, who lives down the street in an area where there's just not a lot of magnesium in the soil. So there's a chance that I'm probably low in magnesium. The supplements, though, that I use is actually really cheap, and it's fairly easy. William Davis, in his book Wheat Belly, Dr. William Davis, he talked about magnesium deficiencies and all the problems it has, particularly with metabolic syndrome. And it's a serious issue. I mean, it helps create the high blood pressure because magnesium helps relax artery walls and it makes your blood flow easier. So there's a lot of different issues that happen with low levels of magnesium or not optimal levels of magnesium. So having a little bit more isn't going to hurt. And what his solution is to create your own magnesium carbonate. And the way you do that is you get a 2-liter bottle of seltzer water, put 750 milliliters of milk of magnesia in there, unflavored and unsugared. So you put the non-sweetened, just pure milk of magnesia in there, whose only ingredient should be magnesium. And you put 750 milliliters in 2 liters of seltzer water, and it will combine and form magnesium carbonate. And that is the most easily absorbed form of magnesium that you can get. And it's kind of amazing. I'll have a cup of that before I go to bed at night, and it's relaxing. Within about 10 minutes, I'm ready to go to sleep, and I fall right asleep. I don't mess around. I mean, I'm snoozing after just a couple minutes of laying in bed. So if you're not having that, if you're tossing and turning and you're having leg cramps at night, consider making your own magnesium carbonate. It's really cheap. I mean, it's $1.25 for a 2-liter bottle of seltzer water. You're only taking a cup of this stuff every night, so it's going to last 8 to 10 days. And it just sits out you can put it in the fridge if you want, or you can just leave it on the counter. It's not going to go bad. And it's incredibly cheap insurance to make sure you're getting an adequate level of magnesium. And it seems to help me sleep better. I've noticed it when I'm on the road and I don't have it with me, that I don't sleep as well. So consider adding it into your diet, try it, see what works. Maybe it'll work for you, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you've got adequate levels, an optimal level of magnesium already. Look, and if you start having loose stools, don't continue with it. But frankly, I think for most of us, I don't notice any big difference in my pooping from taking this at night, but I do sleep really darn well. So it seems to be cheap insurance, nice way to get a little extra magnesium. It's an important electrolyte. Oh, for those of you who are just starting off or haven't begun a low-carb journey yet, please consider doing the magnesium as a supplement as you start. Because what will happen when you go low-carb is you're going to pee out a lot of inflammation. The so-called water weight is really liquid inflammation that's going to be leaving your body really quickly. And that's going to throw off your electrolyte levels. So make sure that you're getting adequate salt, but also throw in the magnesium, which is another important electrolyte that you will pee out unless you're very careful. So, supplementing this, I don't normally recommend supplements, but this is cheap insurance that seems to work, and it really seems to help get me to sleep better. This is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. Please leave comments below if you've tried this. After you've tried it for few days, if you're getting better night's sleep, let other people know so that other people can find out about this and say, yeah, this might actually help me get a better night's sleep. And that's important. I mean, there's 3 major pillars of health. The diet is number 1. Eating lots of red fatty meat is a cornerstone of getting healthy. Number 2 is getting exercise, particularly resistance training and sprinting. That type of training really seems to help. But also getting adequate sleep. I mean, without adequate sleep, we are dead in the water. Matter of fact, the lack of adequate sleep will kill you faster than not drinking water. You can go without water longer than you can without sleep. So keep that in mind. And anything to help us sleep better is all the better. I mean, you just don't want to take sleep aids like Ambien. They just sedate you. And they've got all sorts of horrible side effects. There's no side effect that comes from the relaxation effect of magnesium. Let me know what you think. I try to put out a new message at least a couple times a week. This This is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. I will talk to you soon.